So here's an example where we read a file that has one number per line. So here's the file I'm going to read. And we compute average using while. And so what we do is we get file name from the user. We open the file. We initialize the sum accumulator, a sum accumulator. We initialize a counter because we want to also count the number of numbers. Then before going into the while loop, we get the first line in the file. Line equals endFile.readLine. Remember that endFile is the handle to the file that when we did the input, we set up a handle here. Then we go into the while loop, and the while loop has a boolean here that says continue going through this while loop as long as line is not equal to the empty character. And what this should do is not bail out if there's an empty line in the file. And so we're going to do this first of all where that is not the case. There is no empty line in the file, and we're going to do that where there is an empty line in the file. So inside the while loop, as long as line is not equal to the empty line, we take the float of the line, and remember line is supposed to contain a single number, so I'm taking the float of that, and it's a string initially, so this converts the string representation of a float number or an int. I'm hedging my bets here. Could be either a float or an int, and converting it to a number, and then plussing that into the accumulator, increasing the counter by 1, and then getting the next line. And then the next time through the while loop, while first of all checks its boolean to see whether it should or should not proceed. So let's go ahead and run this on this file. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so I'm going to put nums 1 per line dot text in, and I'm going to get the average of the numbers is 26. If you look at the file, that should indeed be true. I have 5 consecutive integers, and so the one in the middle should be the average. Let's try it with this other file here. So now I'm going to run it with this file, which is the same as the first file, except that there's an empty line here. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to re-invoke it. Nums 1 per line underbar 1 dot text. And there is an error. And I want you to stop the video, the YouTube, and see if you can figure out what the error is before playing the follow-on here. Okay, so I'm going to assume you stop and think about why there's an error here. Okay, let me now show you what the fix is. So the fix is, well, first of all, I'm going to reinitialize the interpreter. The fix is 6a, and so I've added some code here to deal with the problem that we had when we tried to process this file with the empty line embedded in it. And the first version of the program did not handle that. The problem is that if you have an empty line, there is indeed just a carriage return a new line character there. But then when you try and take the float of that, it complains. So that's what's hanging things up. So what we do is same deal. We initialize sum, we initialize count, we read the first line of the file. We have a boolean following line that says as long as line is not equal to empty, proceed. But we need to do something special if the line is empty and we have a carriage, a new line character. because in that case we're just going to pass, we're not even going to process it. Otherwise, we're going to take the float of what should be a number and add that into the accumulator, increase the counter, and then proceed. So let me go ahead and run this now. And well, first of all, we'll put the original file in, nums1 per line text, just to make sure it works, and it does. And let's run it again and show that it works for the second one, text file. There you go.